All is going well. Hi, another day, another bright day. Thank you so much for joining us. As we said to you last week, I had Teresa on, the Lady of Steel, and yeah, as we promised, we brought on some expert, an expert today. His name is Owen Francis. He's an expert in the steel industry. So yeah. He is the founder of the South African. Yeah, so once again, he's the founder of the South African Welding Education and owner of Standards and Engineering Practice, Engineering Fabrication, and Construction Quality Assurance and Quality Professionals. So yeah, we have him on today. Thank you. Hi, how are you? Hello, Owen.
I'm good. Hello, Aisha. I'm good. Thanks. Yourself?
Hi, Teresa. Nice to have you once again.
Hi, Isha. I'm well, thank you. Good afternoon. I nearly said good morning, Owen.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So nice. So as once again, as we promised, we brought Owen on. So yeah, I'm going to give you the floor to over the last 15 years, yeah. What would you say has been the most challenging project from a technical point of view, and why?
First of all, let me say thank you for having me on the channel, Aisha. Appreciate it, man. I'm blown away, and I'm humbled. I'm humbled to be the guy chosen to have a conversation on the topic I'm really passionate about. What has been the most challenging? The most challenging project I've been a part of is the TM2 project that was up in Heidelberg, owned by the client Transnet. The reason why it was challenging for me is when a team of QC inspectors and myself got into the project, it was already delayed by 2 years, but 90% of the project was installed. But there wasn't any quality assurance in place to the extent required, and any quality control in place to the extent required for us to hand over the project to the client. So what we had to do was, first we had to review the state of the entire project, identify and rectify all the non-conformances, and then build from there. So you can imagine not just dealing with the progress needed on the project for handover, but still having to go back like 5 years to try and rectify stuff. And we managed to do that gracefully under the leadership of my mentor, whose name is Martin Adams, a phenomenal quality assurance and quality control manager, really a culture builder. And I think that's, in my opinion, that's what really made a difference and what spurred me on the journey of quality assurance and quality control in an engineering environment. And I was lucky enough to be one of his team leaders. What happened is we were able to turn the whole project around in 10 months and hand it over to the client ready for commissioning.
Wow, in 10 months.
10 months.
That's great. Because I was just wondering, if it has been lagging for so long, that means the cost will have changed drastically and everything else would have, yeah?
Yeah, at the time we were on site. The main contractor we were employed by, who was Group 5 Oil and Gas at the time, was paying penalties of like R1 million a day.
Wow, I can imagine.
So yeah.
It must have been crazy. Yeah, so I thought she was coming on now. I think she's waiting. Okay, sorry, let me let her in.
Let her in.
Let's let her in. Yeah. Because she's so excited about this. So
yeah, she's cool.
I want her to do the Hi, sorry about your network. Can you hear us? Oh dear.
Hi.
Oh, you changed the location. She changed the location.
Okay. Is it better now?
I am now mobile.
Better, that's better. Okay. So I've asked him the first question, yeah. So you can take it from there. I've asked him about the most challenging project he's done, so he's answered that. So you can carry on.
Okay, great. Hi, Owen. So,
Hi.
Owen, with regards to some of the other projects that you've worked with, which is the one that you would say was the most rewarding? And why would you say that that was the most rewarding for you from a technical aspect?
It'll have to be the TM2 project I discussed with you earlier and I just discussed with Aisha right now. And I'll tell you why. On the project, like I had explained, we had to hand over a project that was delayed by 2 years already and make it compliant so that the client can accept it. But one of the challenges we had, because the main contractor we were employed by was being penalized for the delays, the contractor couldn't afford to employ any more staff to assist us. We had a quality assurance crew of 50 people at the peak of the project.
Wow.
50 at the peak of the project, 50 people, 50 QC inspectors and QC clerks. So that was massive. And
that's a lot. That's definitely a lot.
That's a lot.
And how we got there, ultimately was because we needed so much of help doing inspections and punching and documenting stuff and making sure we quality assurance and quality control compliant. We needed more people to help us so that we could hand over in a shorter time. So what we did is we had what I had initiated was speaking to the superintendents and speaking to the construction manager and saying, look, I need guys to do so many activities. I can't do it on my own. Can you please give me some of your assistants, like, your general labor, guys who aren't really expensive in terms of remuneration. So he agreed, and we were able to train assistants, general laborers, into understanding quality assurance and quality control in a period of 2 weeks. And that grew to in 2 weeks general labor in a period. And this is all admin work, eh? This is all reading. Yeah.
If I can ask you a question, how long would it usually take to train somebody to do those type of roles? Because 2 weeks is exceptionally fast in considering the project you guys are on. So what is the usual time that it would take to actually train people to do that role?
If I'm really honest with you, the role really comes with the role and the responsibility really needs to be supported by experience. That goes without saying. So you've got to have some sort of experience in the industry. You've got to be able to identify, for example, what a pipe is and what a structure is. So I think that's what really helped with the assistants. The assistants had that know that they knew what an electrode looked like, knew what different processes were. They knew exactly what the piping routes were. They knew what the structure. So that was a real big help.
They had a basis. They had a basis.
Yes.
Okay.
We had a good basis.
Okay.
We had a good basis. The challenge was getting them to function with not just with their hands and steel and cables and stuff, but use their minds and also get used of using tools like laptops and paper. So it sounds funny to us. It sounds funny to us that somebody would need to learn how to use paper, but the guys, you need to. And so we were able to.
I understand.
You go, Teresa.
No, I was saying I understand what you mean by that as well, because if it's something that you're not used to working with, and it's almost like it's a bit foreign to you. So it's like a very simple example is I'm never in our offices, and they got quite a fancy printer in the one office, and well, let's just say I almost broke it because I didn't know how to work
how to use it. Okay, it's as simple as that. Because I was going to ask, he gives us a general oversight of what is quality control expert meant to do. What is the of the top of your head, like the layman? Could you just give them a rough idea. What is that about?
Oh, what a
So
nice,
basic,
what
but
a
yeah.
nice question.
Last question.
What a nice question.
Yeah.
So any project that a client would like to initiate, or any project that a client would like to take on, whether it's an expansion project or whether it's a brand new project from ground up, from environmental right up to mechanical, piping, electrical, etc. For each discipline, for your civil discipline, for your mechanical, your electrical, your instrumentation, your piping, all those disciplines are governed by standards.
Mm.
Okay, and
Correct.
depending on the discipline and depending on the industry, your standards would vary. For example, if you're generally fabricating in a power station or a power energy environment, you'd use a lot of British standards. Right?
Yes.
So if you're working in the power industry, you generally use British standards. If it's sugar is really flexible, so they use a bit of American and a bit of British. And paper is generally British, so you've got to understand who the client is and what they compliant to. So, for example, if it's a refinery would generally use American standards, because the Americans have really driven refining oil for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Okay.
The
You want to say something?
ASTMA spec.
Yeah. American Society of Testing of
Yes.
Mechanical
So that's
Engineers,
a,
ASME, American Society of Mechanical Engineers, ASME, and the
Yeah.
spec is ASTM. Yeah.
ASTM and then whatever it is. Yeah, that's
Don't
one of the
lose
ones
my
that's a
audience with your
material spec.
technicalities.
I promise we're not
Okay.
swearing. We're not swearing in a different language. I promise.
It's like
It's
you're
like
going
one of the
you're
things
going
that-
Greek now. You're going Greek on me here.
Okay. Sorry, Aisha.
Yeah.
It's
So any clients that wants to take on achieving a goal of either expanding their capacity or building a brand new refinery or sugar mill, or even if it's a paper mill, they'll have standards for each and every discipline.
Okay.
What a quality assurance and a quality control, a quality assurance specialist or a quality control inspector would be
Like
responsible for. Yeah, like myself. One, so there's two factors. So the one, you've got quality assurance, which is preventative. These are the measures that you have in place to make sure that you have zero to no non-conformances or defects. And then the other aspect is quality control. This is making sure that once you fabricated an item, that the item that you fabricated is compliant to whatever standard you're building it to. Okay. So a quality assurance, a quality assurance and a quality control specialist would make sure that, one, there's assurance measures in place to make sure that you don't have any non-conformances or rejects, or you try to reduce them. And these are stuff like plans. Okay, so you have a plan, generally a good plan. So a quality control plan would form part of your quality assurance, and then your controls would be your inspections. So we've got what we do as Aisha is we make sure that we're compliant. Whatever the client is building to, we make sure that we have the correct quality assurance processes in place for us to manage the processes, and the correct the necessary means to measure the defects for the fabrication, or the ability to identify what the defects are by inspection.
Beautiful.
Okay.
As simple as that. Don't go any further they'll get lost. But yes, they get it now.
Owen,
So
I think some of the stuff that Owen was chatting to me before about as well was that, like, his company trains people on how to become quality inspectors.
okay.
And I think Owen's going to have to give us some form of a crash course on it after we've had this chat, so that next time both Aisha and I
we have to do something. Yeah, we have to definitely.
Yeah, the I understood, and the BSP, obviously from the pipes and fittings and flanges that we supply, obviously at our company, Eurosteel, and so like some of those items. And when you talk about Owen, when you were talking about the tests that you do on like the welds on the pipe.
Yes.
Is it more like a dye-pin test and that type of thing, or what type of testing would you guys do on that?
Then, nice one, Teresa. And yes, we must do something after this. We have some sort of conversation about assurance and controls.
I need to remind the viewers that if they have any technical questions, please do pop it below. For the summit attendees, please send your technical questions to Aisha, and then Aisha will set up a Q&A session with Owen to answer those questions. And if there's anything more specific needed, Owen has said that he would be able to assist the viewers and also the seminar attendees. Yeah. So thank you for that, Owen.
Okay.
Thanks, Teresa. So, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Aisha. You're welcome. So, welding is such a major part of our culture in Durban. It's really tremendous because of the sort of industries that because of the location of our city. Our city is big on our construction engineering industry is really big, especially with places like Engine Refinery, with Sapref on our doorstep, places like Hewlett Sugar Mill just down the road from me, the refinery, and I can go on. So the need for artisans in Durban is great because of the industry, the demand industry, or at least it was a couple of years ago. So welding is really personal for us as Durbanites, especially. A lot of guys in the industry were taught by either like a dad how to weld, or an uncle, or had no hope at all, and their parents sent them to a welding school, or just sent him to any shutdown or project that was taking place, and said, look, this kid's at the end of his road, please, just take him on and let's see what we can do for him. And so our industry really represents hope for a lot of people, and welding particularly. And so why am I going on about welding? Why am I going on about welding?
I love what
you like welding. That's your passion.
Yeah, so it's really Teresa was asking about the welding. So this is personal for us. This is not like something that we're just doing because we want to make a little bit of cash, which we do, and we'll take the cash. But we're really passionate about.
You want some cash too?
Sorry, what did you say? What do you say?
All right, I'm saying I think you'd also want some cash too. Like,
yes, why
not? So with the welding inspection, Teresa, to answer your question, it depends on the standard. Depending on the standard you work into, would require different things from a weld. But your main form of inspection on any weld would be visual, and that only comes from experience. Any experienced inspector would be able to look at a weld and say, look, it's acceptable or not, taking into consideration the standard that you're fabricating to, and also the industry. Industry is important. Mm-hmm. What's acceptable in petrol is not necessarily required in, for example, sugar. And what's acceptable in sugar may not be acceptable in petrol or in nuclear or in power. Mm-hmm. So it really depends also on what industry you're in as well.
Okay. And then, Owen, so obviously, like with the industry and with the work that Aisha and a lot of the attendees for the summit are working with, a lot of it is architecture. So from your personal experience over the last 15 years doing quality assurance, have you noticed whether there has been, what are your thoughts? I'm going to reword that. What are your thoughts on, like Aisha questioned me on this one as well last week, on the finishes on various projects in South Africa or even abroad on projects that you've seen. So now take it to an architectural point of view.
So, from an architectural point of view, honestly, I'm not an expert when it comes to architecture. In fact, I'll be very honest with you. I had a little project at home where I had to cut a door into my garage, and I attempted plastering the wall when I was finished, and I really sucked. I really sucked. And I bring this up only because I understand that architecture most of the time
But you
involves
know
a lot
something?
of civil work. Yes.
Actually, it's not about architecture. We're trying to be like more universal. It's not about me. It's not
Yes.
about you. It's just like whatever the audience needs, because we have engineers, we have those that have no experience. So it's just on a general scale, really.
Okay.
So generally, how I feel about architecture is beautiful. And what are some of the finishes? The question was, what is my perspective on some of the finishes? I think really amazing. You look at, for example, our little basket here in Durban, our Moses Mabhida Stadium. The architecture is phenomenal on it. And then some of the other projects that we had, the dome that's just been rebuilt now in Durban. I don't know if Aisha knows about it. Durban Christian Center. The architecture is amazing on that building.
So, Aisha, what happened was a couple of years ago, the Dome is a big Christian church and burned down.
The biggest. It's the biggest in Durban. Biggest in our city.
It could even be I don't know if it's the biggest in KZN. But it's
definitely the biggest in Durban.
How many people it seats? It was huge, and they've just redone the whole dome. And over the last probably about 24 months or so, maybe even more than that, the amount of different types of engineers and architects and structural engineers and civil engineers and even acoustic sound engineers that have been involved in that project has actually been phenomenal.
Wow. Now, talking about domes, something occurred to me. Do you know about space frames?
No, I don't.
What's a space frame? Yeah. Alicia needs to tell us this one.
It's like to do the dome, probably like interwoven steel frames.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, without support, so you can get like a wide span with no support under.
Without support.
Without support.
Yes.
So it stretches.
Without support. Wow.
Without support.
So it's almost like a spider web.
Yes, like a spider web. Yeah.
Nice.
I just thought to ask. It's just on the top of my head.
No, it's cool.
Anyway, so yeah, nice. So at least we've spoken about welds, the fastening. He hasn't said anything about the fastening. The right fastening for what, that you talked about.
Okay. So the fastening side of it, that will probably be another conversation that we'll have a little bit later on, which is with another gentleman by the name of Dimitri, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And their company there's a couple of companies in South Africa that does do these type of fastenings, and I think Owen knows what we're talking about as well. Do you know, Owen, you get those fastenings where they do the grating in the various factories and whatnot, and it's the fastening that holds the grating down.
Very important, of course.
Yes. So
yeah, of course.
We posed the question to one of those fastening companies and fixture companies to do a online with us like you're doing now, so that we can also find out, what is the right, well, from a quality assurance point of view. Maybe you can answer this as well for us, Owen. If you are working with something that so for one of the factories, and you've got large walkways and it's a double story and that type of thing, what is the correct type of fixings that should be used for that type of application?
Okay, so it would Well, your grading clips are standard, right?
Okay.
So your grading clips are standard. And please, also, by the way, please send me this guy's contact details.
I'll hook you
There you go. There you go. So yeah.
So your grading, so your grading, your grading clips are generally standard, but it would be specified by the client. The clients generally say what type of grading clips that they want. What's more, what's not, what's
The clients don't know.
Sorry.
The clients don't know what they, and then they end up getting what they don't know, and then it ends up failing after a year, 2 years. That's the problem. That was what I said to her, and I showed her like some balustrades that are all weakened. It's a public building, so we're stuck with it, because you think it's okay. So but it's like experts like you that tell us do it this way or change it this way, or it's better to use this, stuff like that.
Oh, okay. What are we talking about? Actually, you mentioned balustrades, and Teresa was asking me about the clips for the grating.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying that the clients, even though the welders don't even know, a lot of them don't even know what they're doing. They just join it. They just have the basic knowledge to just make it work, and then it doesn't last. So that's why you have quality control telling us do it the right way, and then you should have used this instead of used that.
Yeah. Oh, but this is why quality control is not simple, right? But if you know what the standard is that you, for example, if you building a platform, there'll be a standard size for the width of the platform. There'll be a standard for the type of grating you can use and the direction you install the grating, and also there'll be a standard. So the standard will also tell you exactly at what point you should have all your safety clips holding down your grating. It'll tell you what sort of structural steel to have supporting what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. So our job in that case would be to make sure that whoever the fabricator and erector is, the construction company, that they're compliant. So those clips are very important, right? Your grating clips, because if you don't have your gratings secured properly, you could potentially fall through a floor. That's the reality.
Sure, so it is a life-threatening situation should something not be
done. It's a safety issue.
It's a safety issue. Proper health and safety issue. Yeah, sure.
It's a proper health and safety issue.
Okay, sure. And then, Aisha, there was a question that you wanted to ask Owen about his younger self.
Yes, as I said, Owen, on your younger self, 5 years ago, what would you have done differently from now?
5 years ago, 2016.
You're making
2016. Yeah, you are. I want to give you a good answer. I want to give you a good answer.
You don't think too much. Just what comes to you. Just.
I would say be patient. I would tell myself to be patient, and learn from the process. Enjoy the process. Learn from the process or the processes and experiences. That's what I would tell myself. Yeah, 5 years ago, I would say, look, be patient. And learn from the process. Don't try to fight the process or beat the process or get to a place too quickly. Just go with it.
There you go. Yeah. So basically,
that's
the audience.
I can resonate with that.
This patience keeps coming back. Be patient. Don't be too in a hurry. Don't most of the youth are in a hurry.
Yeah. It's a big problem.
Patient.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
Okay.
I suppose if you think about the youth today as well, and like I saw this with my little niece, you've got it where everything happens so fast, and they want to have almost like instant gratification, and the idea of making something from scratch is kind of like they'll look at you and go,
Yeah.
only buy it from the
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like what Owen was saying was, if we could actually go back to, if I'd also go back 5 years and said to myself, Teresa, just be patient. Just like and Owen said, go with the process, work with it. I definitely resonate with that, Owen. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So another question I'll ask you. So what would you say is your biggest strength? We're rounding up to just like quick. Everything is, don't think too much, just.
My biggest strength, communication.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
I'd say that particularly in a work environment, communication. Yeah, that's it.
Fantastic.
What would be your biggest weakness?
Sorry?
What would be your biggest weakness?
Impatience.
Okay.
Impatience. Impatience, yeah.
So that's why you tell your younger self to be patient.
To be patient, yeah. I tell you. So I'm talking to one of our supervisors on site today, and he says, "Look, we've got an issue with scaffolding. We delayed for 5 days on scaffolding, and we just can't seem to get through to the scaffolding guys." So I say, "Look, these guys are not helping us. We've got a deadline to meet. We've got so many days left. Why don't you build a scaffold yourself?" That's my terrible advice I'm giving to my supervisor because I want to get the job done. I want to get the project moving. And he says to me, "Oh no, I won't do that. That's not it's not safe. It's not the right way to do things. We're not professional scaffold builders." And I'm saying to him, man, look at what is a scaffold? A couple of uprights and some supports at the bottom. You can do it. He says to me, no. And then I said, okay, you're right. I said, no, you're right. Yeah. Let me make another plan. Let me get the scaffold, guys.
Yes, wait for the scaffold. So nice one. So last question. Do you read any books?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so is there anyone that
impacted
you?
A book that's impacted me. It's by Viktor Frankl. It's right here.
Okay.
We're going on a tour.
Why do you say that? Why?
I'm gonna show you. I wonder if I can reverse this camera. I can do that.
Okay.
There we go.
It's called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
Okay. You have to speak because it keeps leaving. Man's what? We didn't see it well.
Man's Search for Meaning. Man's Search for Meaning, sorry.
Okay. So why?
Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
So why? Why
so this it's I love the book because it tells a story of it's a story of hope in the midst of injustice. Wow.
Okay.
And how you can change your circumstances no matter how bad they are by changing the way you think.
Your mindset.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
That's why I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So this was a lovely one. Teresa, what do you have? What are your last words?
Well, just Owen, an absolutely huge, massive thank you for joining us this evening and having a chat to us about what it is that you do and what you're clearly so passionate about. It's really, really awesome. And then, of course, to our beautiful, wonderful host, Aisha, thank you very much again for having me join you this evening. And Owen, you've given us some interesting things to think about and also to reflect on, which is great. And please, can you send us the name of that book on our WhatsApp chat? I think that would be a great one for Aisha to also put on the for the YouTube comments for the viewers.
Yeah, for the YouTube.
Definitely.
So once again, I will say thank you so much, Owen. It was lovely having you. And thanks
for having me, man.
Teresa, you're not my co-host, yeah? A couple of them. So yeah, lovely having you guys, and yeah, we look forward to more episodes, and that'll be more technical and more to the point. Thank you so much. I'm so appreciative of all this. And please, you guys, tune into the Building Industry Entrepreneur Series on YouTube. On what, Teresa? What else? Oh, she's frozen.
We've got it there. There's a couple links that are on YouTube. There's a couple links that from on LinkedIn, and then I've also posted a few on my personal Facebook as well, just to connect more people to what Aisha and the vision that it is that she wants to achieve. And I think the biggest thing, and Owen, you spoke about it with your book as well, is change. We've got to look at ways of changing the way that we are doing things. We've got to look at doing things better. We've got to look at ways of creating that energy and that vibe again that in the various industries, whether it is engineering, whether it is architecture, whether it is civil engineering, or whether it is environmental. So yeah, I think the biggest thing we need to really focus in, and especially in the next good couple of months and years, is positive change, continuous improvements on pretty much everything that we're doing on a daily basis. And it's a small change.
Yeah.
It's a small change every day, and you can, I mean, it's what was that old saying? How you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Yeah.
Hopefully none of us eat elephants.
No, definitely not. So yeah, thank you. And you didn't add Facebook, and Facebook as well. They could check for Facebook as well. So thank you guys for coming on. It was lovely having you. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Aisha.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Cheers, Owen. Thanks for coming.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye. So are you still on?